How long is left before Wrath of the Lich King Classic? Yo, Wrath of the Lich King is actually my favorite WoW expansion. I really hope it comes out soon. But I would say probably it comes out like a year, maybe 2 years from now. Let's see. But yeah,
Hello,
let's
ladies and
find out
gentlemen,
more
WillE
about
here.
how much
With
is
Phase
left.
3 for TBC confirmed for 27th of January, we are somehow, if not already, past the halfway mark for the Burning Crusade, and I just can't help but notice that Wrath of the Lich King is very much already starting to gain a lot of interest. I see posts on the
We got like
subreddit,
more
the
than
WoW
half of
forums,
TBC
other
already,
videos are
right?
starting to pop up, YouTube comments. The hype train is very much already boarding and seemingly about to get in motion. Midway through Classic, people were already calling it the TBC waiting room, though interest for this version of WoW seems to have missed the mark more so than hitting it for a lot of players, as you know the deal with Wrath of the Lich King, the most subscribed to version of WoW ever, an expansion many players.
You know why that is? That's easy to explain. Because a lot of people that started playing WoW, they came from Warcraft 3. And Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne was the most hyped Warcraft 3 expansion. How like Arthur's led the Scourge at some point and all that. Like, it was crazy. Like, I myself came from Warcraft 3 when I started playing WoW. And like the lore was just so fascinating, and I also would say like Frozen Throne there was an insane expansion. So of course it's really popular.
Players look back too fondly, and one significant number of changes were made to both gameplay design philosophies, ease of access for raiding, and many more things, but we have plenty of time to talk about those. And no, it's not announced yet, and it won't be for some time, but let's not pretend Blizzard are not going to be releasing Wrath of the Lich King. You could bet your entire existence on them doing it. So then, how long do we reckon TBC has left to go before we are on the boat and sailing towards the Howling Fjord? Yes, only the Howling Fjord, not Borean Tundra. Nobody wants to go to Borean Tundra. I did a video similar to this for the Burning Crusade back midway through Classic, and I wasn't actually too far off. I thought TBC would have dropped in April, though I did mention June latest, and that turned out to be the case. The difference is with Classic is that it felt as though we were powering through the content at a really rapid rate, when in reality we weren't too far off how long the game took to run its course back in 2004, with our Classic spanning a total of about 20 months or so. And through the Dark Portal into TBC, the way in which content has been spaced out is way different from what players experienced back in 2007.
Yeah.
They technically had content which we don't even have access to yet over 6 months later from launch, that being.
You know what's funny? Like, I feel like a lot of people felt that way. At least I felt that way. When playing TBC Classic and also WoW Classic, I got like a different feeling than I got back in the day from WoW. It felt like a different World of Warcraft, even though it is like the vanilla version, sort of. But that's probably also because we all got like older, our views on things have changed, and we have been playing like retail for some time, so everything feels a bit different. Because back in the day it was like super fresh, it was like a new game, and now you know in your head, oh, that's a classic version of a game, and oh, I've seen this before a long time ago and stuff. So I guess that's why it feels different to a lot of people, because it isn't as fresh and as exciting anymore like it used to be. It's still fun though, like don't get me wrong, but yeah, it's definitely a different feeling.
Mount Hyjor, and that was the extent to which TBC content was front-loaded back then. Prior to the launch of the expansion, I thought it would be a good idea to split the content up a bit for the benefit of not having players demolish everything there is to do in about the space of 1 month, which Blizzard did do in the end, and I think it has been for the best, although certain phases just feel like they have dragged a little bit, I will admit that. And TBC back in 2007 and 8, which was about 22 months total, only really had 3 major content patches in all that time. Their phase 1 started on the 16th of January 2007 and lasted till Black Temple dropped in 2.1 on May 22nd, 2007. And honestly, by this point, the majority of the content in TBC was already out. In some ways, I'm surprised the expansion continued to grow at such a rapid rate for Blizzard. I think that's the difference between having a game that's rising in popularity and constantly growing and gaining new players, who then have a massive amount of content to explore, as opposed to today, and this is also true for retail as well since Cataclysm, to be honest, where there is a boom on a new release and then things gradually tail off with some bumps for each major patch. I say there was only 3 major content patches because 2.2 was voice chat, balancing changes, and holiday content such as Brewfest and Hallows End.
Yeah, what's that?
2.3, the next major patch, had
Holy shit.
Zulaman, Guildbank, Season 3 Arena, and the old Azeroth leveling rework, which was November 2007, 6 months after 2.1. The launch to Zulaman in OG TBC is about 11 months total, because after Zulaman, there was only one more major content patch in TBC, 2.4 and the Fury of the Sunwell, which means 2.4 lasted about 8 months total. Now, I don't think you need to be some kind of oracle to work out that we won't be doing the Sunwell for 8 months. Well,
Yeah.
I really hope not anyway. I mean, we did have 6 months of Naxxramas to be fair, but there's no way this happens. Final World of Warcraft patches have typically been very, very long. Some of them, such as in Mr. Pandaria, took over 1 entire year to get through. I think this is an area that's going to be shortened for certain in Classic, because we...
And you know why they are doing it? Because they want to also stretch the lifespan of a game. Like, that just makes sense, even if you have something already prepared or in mind. Like, from a business perspective, when it comes to like keeping a game alive, it makes sense if you delay stuff a bit, like those patches, especially if they include like dungeons or new raids or something, right? So they're probably gonna... That's why I think maybe we'll need like another 2 year for Wrath of the Lich King Classic. I don't think this can be done in a year, but I could be wrong. So I would say at least 2 years, maybe.
We can. So that's how
Maybe
the
even
old
3.
2007 to 2008 Burning Crusade timeline looked like. At the moment, we are approaching what would be 2.1, which happened 5 months into TBC, and will happen 7 months into our timeline. Moreover, we don't have a patch 2.2 like TBC did, because it's already in the game, and a patch for voice chat. Yeah, we have Discord now. Also, we have 5 phases for TBC in total. Phase 2 for TBC was about 5 months long, and I expect Phase 3 to be at least equally as long, as it contains 2 huge new raids, an entire new arena season, and
Why don't we just get infinite
counting
time
forwards, I
walking
think
on
we can
retail?
expect Phase 4
And we have all in one
to drop
game.
in summer around June. This means I'm giving Phase 3 for TBC around 5 months, which hurts about as much to read as it does to write. Phase 4 should be a shorter phase, just like Phase 1 was. It has Zulaman, which is nice, some new BIS items, more vendors, bear farming for your guild.
You know, it would be so smart actually, but I don't think they're ever gonna do this. Like, there are people that literally raid log on and stuff, right, that in game. And I've seen that we are losing like a lot of people on TBC, right? And I myself play these days more on retail than TBC. And I don't get why on retail they don't add like time walking that's even for max level and everything scales with you, or you scale with it. Like, why can't we put classic sort of into retail? That would be so nice, because like I love the old dungeons and raids. I did Zul Aman to get like a freaking mount, was it like a week ago or so? I got like the Amani beer, and like I see those like old content dungeons and stuff. I think it's so cool. Also the mechanics. There's some interesting NPCs that sometimes appear and stuff. So I wish they would do it where in retail you can get some sort of classic experience by letting yourself scale with it. And I don't want to go to a freaking NPC and level my character to level 49 or 50 or whatever, and then just lock my character and I'm like forever, let's say, level 49. I don't want that. I want my max character that I'm also using for Shadowlands to be able to scale outside of Shadowlands, and not just for an event or something that's changing monthly or whatever. Like, I want to freaking do this anytime I want, and be like, hey, guild, wanna do freaking Black Temple together, Naxxramas or something, and we all just scale with it, right? I think that would be so nice. Or if like all the gear gets like a almost same item level, like from the drop, so you have like a reason to grind stuff. Because ESO does it like that. Like Elder Scrolls Online, if you're doing dungeons, like the gear is just automatically max level with you and you scale with it. And like a regular mob, if you run into Zolo and you pull like 3-4 mobs, you just die. No, retail, you just go in, one shot everything, farm your transmogs and stuff. So it would be cool if we had like time walking without limitations on max level characters, and it doesn't matter if your item level is 230 plus, you can still not solo stuff. You need like a full raid group, and perhaps you give the players some rewards that are very good. I mean, the Mage Tower, like that's a good example. Mage Tower, right? People enjoyed Mage Tower and they liked the challenge there. So why don't we make it everywhere like Mage Tower, even with the old content? Because we do have better graphics on retail, right? So we get a somewhat classic experience with better graphics.
A lot of catch-up stuff, really, but Phase 4 will be a smaller patch for PvEers, and with no new arena season, which is why I'm giving it 3 months total, which means Phase 5, the Sunwell last phase, and Arena Season 4 drop around late August or September. Now, if we took the true to TBC timeline here, that would mean Wrath of the Lich King would drop 8 months later in March. Again, there's no way it's that long. But if we call it 5 to 6 months of Sunwell, we are looking at a pre-patch, which is hopefully longer than 2 weeks this time around, and a launch of Wrath of the Lich King Classic in late January or early February, which means about a 20-month duration total for TBC, a little bit shorter than Classic.
Really?
So if you want one takeaway, I'm betting on a 2023 launch, not late 2022 for us. This will steer clear
Impossible.
of a retail release, I'm confident.
It would take more than a year.
They are very typically at the
Probably
end of the year, and there has even been recent leaks that have been circulating around showing Dragon Isles and Azeroth getting a soft reboot. Retail certainly needs something big after Shadowlands and BFA, that's for sure.
Yeah, like I think Classic will lose a lot of players once there's like, if there's really Dragon Isles coming and they're like getting rid of some annoying reputation and grind systems. I think Classic will have even less players, and it's already now on a decline, sadly. Like, I've been in multiple guilds and they all died out. Like, people log in after 2-3 months, like 20-30% left or became inactive. Like, it's funny with Classic. Like, I was so eager to grind the character, like level characters up and stuff on Alliance and Horde side, and then I saw like, oh shit, people are quitting. What should I do? What should I do now? Should I still grind my characters up because it takes so long, right, in Classic, or should I just give up and go back to retail? And what did I do? I gave up. I just got back to retail. Like, yeah.
Sure. Moreover, Q3 for Activision Blizzard is between late October and early February.
The zones are so cool with Wrath of the Lich King. Northrend is nice.
They have ever had to launch a few weeks before the end of Q3 or just after the start of Q1, it would either finish off or start a new year strong. And for what it's worth, I expect 10.0 to cover the end of 2022. Timing does depend somewhat around other things which are coming out around that point in time that we may not know of yet, but that remains to be seen. So it may be a little longer than you expect it to be. That seems like a fairly realistic timeline from what you can expect from Blizzard.
They also want to stretch the hype probably from a business perspective.
There's only really one or maybe 2 more things to mention here. BBC to Wrath of the Lich King transition. We have to assume it's going to be the same, and it wouldn't be any different from Classic. The Classic era servers may seem quite redundant at the moment, but they're going to be the future home after Season of Mastery concludes, and will be the case for later seasons as well, assuming they exist. You have to consider Blizzard may open up seasonal TBC servers a few months into Wrath, but there seems to be less demand for the expansion overall. From Ironforge.pro, for example, somewhere between 10 to 20% of the player base per server take part in an arena each week when compared to the volume of people appearing on Warcraft logs. And the raiding, whilst improved in many aspects, is one of the few repeatable activities that TBC offers. It's no secret that many private servers had TBC as the least popular and least explored version of the original trilogy, due to things we're already experiencing, people not wanting to get over the hurdle of achievements.
Like, the sad part about this is also, like, if like new dungeons and raids take too long to come out, you have a lot of people that already have like a lot of gear pieces from certain like raids and dungeons, so they don't want to go for that anymore because they already have the pieces, and because they've done it so many times, they don't want to always do the same raid or dungeon, and they feel like, couldn't I say like burnt out, but yeah, sort of like it feels then repetitive, right? Because always doing the same thing. And then like less players are online and play, like this happened to some of my guilds, and then people don't want to log back in and play actively because there's nobody to play with, because the people already played everything, they did the raids 20, 30 plus times, 40 plus times, and they no longer come back online, or just once maybe every 3 weeks or so. So that's the issue. And then if a game is dead because nobody's running around, why would you want to log in, right? Like, the thing that makes, like, you know what's funny for me? Like, I enjoy dungeons and raids a lot, right? But, like, what I enjoy the most for some reason, but that's just me, I love the leveling experience a lot. Like, I love to slowly grind up characters, do quest lines, explore zones, and just have, like, a cool adventure. And it's nice to do a dungeon every once in a while, right? But I don't know. I really love the leveling experience. Like, the thing that got me the most into Classic was the slow leveling, to be honest. Like in retail, I just leveled so quick. I started spamming Mythic Plus dungeons and stuff, and it's fun, it's cool. But I miss sometimes having a longer leveling experience where I have to grind for like a month or longer a character. Because I think that's exciting, right?
One raid difficulty with much harder top
You
end
can
content
try
than
out
we've
new
ever seen
classes
before.
all
It's
the time.
difficult to break into PvP without excessive honor grinding and then arena grinding, and just not really much to do outside of any of that. Blizzard did a survey for TBC originally too, with some options based loosely around what we ended up getting. I think though it will just be exactly the same. We'll be given a choice, then TBC Era, which will move on to its own thing, or continue to Wrath of the Lich King. Your character transfers over to the new servers, Wrath pre-patch hits, and then on we go. TBC Era stays on the final phase, and if or when TBC Seasonals release, at the end of it, players will go to there. We'll have an entire new category on the WoW launcher for Wrath of the Lich King, at which point for World of Warcraft you will have retail, potentially 2 seasonal servers, Classic Era, TBC Era, and Wrath of the Lich King Classic. I mean, at least you're getting your choice for 15 bucks, I guess. Imagine what happens if they layered more expansions on top of this. They'd probably go for an entire UI redesign and just have a classic Warcraft tab where you could pick from however many game modes there ends up being. Finally, something TBC didn't do, and I don't think Wrath will do either, new servers. Moving from Classic to TBC, a lot of people were concerned about the amount of gold people were taking over, or
Oh
wanted
yeah, there
fresh
was a
servers
problem
for
with
that
that.
fresh experience, which is ever popular. Again, I don't think they'll do it. If anything, we're going to see a reduction in the number of servers during the TBC to Wrath of the Lich King transition, because so many servers have become dead during the expansion, as people have gradually moved together to a select few servers where everybody is playing. There's a few other questions. Will Blizzard add a leveling boost? Ooh, I wonder. How will they handle the pre-patch and the second Scourge invasion? In 2008, this event was so destructive and overly affected that they had to cut it short because you were literally not able to use anything in capital cities, and players complained endlessly. Maybe
Yeah.
a bit of a fun video to do a retrospective on that and how it looked, because it was a one-time thing for WoW. Those are all my thoughts on it then, but I think it's 2023 before we're boarding to Northrend. That's about everything though. As
Maybe
always,
even
thank you all so
24.
much for watching
Who
and
knows?
listening in. I shall see you all in the next one very soon.
Yeah, I don't know when it will be released. Like I said, I think they're not going to release it too soon because they still want to extend a bit of the TBC hype, also with like the new patches that are coming and all that, right? Because we're not completely at the end of TBC yet. There's still a bit of content that they can push out, right? So they're probably going to do that every couple of months, right? And I'm actually wondering what the future of World of Warcraft will be. Like, it's cool that there are classic servers, but I'm actually wondering if classic servers are really the solution, that you have a WoW classic version. Wouldn't the solution be better for the game as a whole, and to not have like a split between classic community and retail community? To make retail in a way that you can play on retail like on classic. I think that they can add like some sort of system where you can do like a time walking unlimited or something, or let just everything scale, like every dungeon, and you can do like all the old raids and everything. So you don't have to be on 2 versions of the game, and you can just stay on one place, right? Because I always have this issue with like guilds and friends. They move back and forth between retail and classic, and it's just so annoying. I had issues with my guild. Like, we were supposed to have like a guild meeting, and then you know what, no, we're taking a break with like leveling our new alts or something, because there's some stuff now on retail, like 9.1.5 came out, and then people go back to retail, then they come back to classic. It's like people like traveling across both, sort of, right? So that's why I think it would be really nice if you could like just let everything scale, or you scale with it on retail. Like, yeah, sure, the graphics will be different, certain skills and class specs have been reworked. I mean, Survival Hunter is like one of the newest specs, you could say, right? Because Survival Hunter is completely reworked. Like, you can't play Survival Hunter on WoW Classic like on retail. It's just so different. Because you are still range, basically, you could say. Like, yeah. I'm like wondering what will happen next. So how do you guys actually feel, those of you that play WoW TBC? Classic. How do you feel about TBC so far? Do you also feel like the hype is going down a bit and the popularity keeps decreasing a lot? Like, I see this with like the friends that I made in-game and the guilds I'm in, like they all start leaving, and a lot of people either quit WoW completely, and a large portion also goes over to retail again, and I also went now more into retail than in Classic, even though I had like very big plans at the beginning, but then I saw the hype goes down and it was hard to find people to play with. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know your comments. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and if you guys are new to this channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content, and I would also really appreciate if you give this video a thumbs up. This will help out with the YouTube algorithm, and I wish everyone a wonderful day. I will see you guys next time.